So, the most important part of studying the history of a city is to remember that the city was not invented by people who were playing city building games. There is no monolithic figure sort of silently placing amenities or drawing roads and zoning on those roads to develop a perfect model with no traffic problems and robust public transportation. Cities are built by thousands of people in a slow and messy process that doesn't always work. In short, SimCity is a game, not real life. So if we want to talk about the history of a city, we need to talk about where it is. So this episode is going to focus on geography and hydrology, which are really fancy ways of saying the earth and the water. We'll start with water because it's the most straightforward. So, people need water to live. And in the center of North America runs the fourth largest river in the world, the Mississippi. And this is beneficial for a number of reasons. One, well, people need water to live. Two, there's a whole lot of water all coming from an underground source, so it should never run out on you. And three, if you happen to make a boat, you can move pretty far, pretty fast by that massive river. Now, the Mississippi River also has incredibly wide floodplains, which is great for several reasons. One, it loads nearby land with fertile soil, in which you can grow food, which people need, to live. Two, floodplains are generally flatter, which makes them easier to build on. And three, the fertile soil also supports abundant game, which can be harvested for more food, which, once again, people need to live. Now, floodplains do flood, hence the name, and that historically causes, horrible devastation. But when people say, oh, well, just don't settle in the floodplains, well, the problem is people have been settling in floodplains since people have been settling. The floodplain is where the food is, and the threat that your house could maybe be destroyed from the river going crazy is not enough to generally override the potential for just mass food gain. Now, for the climate itself, most of Missouri and North America in general really is humid subtropical climate, which basically means that there are consistent, usually, seasons and hot summers and cool winters with healthy rainfall. This is, once again, great for farming, as consistency lets farmers plant and reap their crops with regularity. So, really, it was inevitable that a civilization would take hold here, and that civilization used dirt. Lots of it. Mounds of it, in fact. Mississippians organized across the Mississippi River Basin starting in about the 1800s. Now, these were not nomadic peoples from the plains. Cahokia was one of the largest cities in North America, and the Mississippians had a settlement hierarchy in which the cities with numerous large mounds influenced the smaller mound cities. The Mississippians displayed farming, mostly maize as it was plentiful and fed a lot of people and grew easily in the region, as it still does today. This was not a nomadic tribe. They were not, quote, noble savages, end quote. Note, the myth of the noble savage is just that, a myth. It's a misunderstanding of primitive religions, and it disregards the fact that these were people in an organized civilization not all that different from civilizations of similar technological advancement and situation. So, well, what happened to the Mississippians? They all just kind of disappeared. Well, colonization really did them in. Diseases from Europe they weren't immune to destroyed their numbers, and the remaining people just sort of disseminated into other native groups in the region, spreading west, east, north, and south, really. By the mid-1600s, they were entirely gone, having spread into other groups, which was great news if you happened to be a 35-year-old Frenchman with a land grant from the King of France. So Pierre Leclerc Leguest traveled upstream from New Orleans with his son, Auguste Chouteau, who was about 13. So they traveled to where the Mississippi and Missouri rivers meet, discovered that it was a swampy marshland, and moved 18 miles downriver, where there was, actual buildable soil. So, equipped with the knowledge that if something can flood, it will flood, the two put the trading outpost where limestone rose above the riverbed higher than the surrounding floodplains. The city remained under French hands until they sold it to the Spanish because they had no money. The city was then traded under the table back to the French and then to the Americans when the entire Louisiana territory was sold for a whopping $15 million. And both the Mississippians and the European settlement can still be seen in the city. The remaining mounds from the Cahokia settlement, most notably Monk's Mound, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, still exist in Collinsville, Illinois. Most mounds were destroyed when the rest of the St. Louis area developed. Now, the only remaining section of St. Louis's historic riverfront is named Laclede's Landing, after Laclede West, and an east-west arterial avenue bears Choteau's name as well. If you want to learn more about the European colonizers or the Mississippians, I would recommend visiting the Cahokia Mounds themselves, which still exist, and or the museum located underneath the arch. Both are free, though there is a recommended $7 donation at the mounds, and if you'll want to go up to the top of the arch, you gotta fork over at least $16. I would recommend both, though. They're neat. So, close the video and the YouTube and go and check those out. I don't have a Patreon or anything and don't drink coffee, so don't try to donate money to me. Donate to UNICEF or a charity or something. I don't know, maybe another YouTuber if you're into that. If you liked this video and want to see more, well, let me know. And if you don't want to see more, well, that's too bad, because there are more coming anyway. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. Let's go Blues.